Hello there guys, this is Alex here, bringing you part 4 of What If Deku Had a Full Counter. Where we last left off, Izuku from the tavern was sent by Satoru to get some change, for they almost ran out of them. Once there, Izuku waited patiently for his turn to come, and once his turn came, some thugs started to make a robbery. One of the thugs saw everyone with their hands in the air, except for one. As the first thug would say, "Hey kid, I said hands in the air, didn't you hear me?" Izuku turns around oblivious on what is going on, as Izuku would say, "Hold it, do you mind waiting your turn? I'm kind of in a hurry. I'm going to be late for work." As the first thug would say, "Work? Work? That's pretty funny, kid. Hey bro, this kid thinks he's funny." As the thug 2 would sarcastically say, "Kid, unless you wish to get killed, do as we say, and you might make it out alive." As Izuku would say, yeah, whatever. As he would be turning to the bank employee and would say, "As I was saying, I need this amount of change." As the first dog would be visibly pissed off, making some electricity in his hands, as he would say, "Kid, you really are full of yourself. Didn't your parents ever teach you some manners? If not, I guess I need to teach you a thing or two." As Izuku would start sighing, as he would say, "My parents taught me well, but it seems that your parents were the ones doing a sloppy job of it. Would you kindly leave so I can get my change and go back to work with nobody getting hurt?" As the second thug would say, "Oh really, kid? What are you gonna do about it?" As the first thug would say, "Yeah, who do you think you're all might?" As the thug boss would say, "You two, stop wasting time. Move your lazy asses and hurry up. The sooner you start getting what we need, the sooner we can leave." As the second thug would say, "But sir, this kid is giving us an attitude and he doesn't seem faced by our threats." As the thug boss would say, "A child? Are you afraid of a child?" As the second thug would say, "No sir, it's just that." As the thug boss would say, "It's just what? An excuse, like I've told you before. Eliminate all obstacles, which includes that kid. Don't make me regret my decision on keeping the two of you around. Otherwise, I'll get rid of both of you, including the kid. Are we clear?" The first and second thug in unison would say, "Crystal clear, sir." One of the two thugs started to attack Izuku while he was talking to the bank employee. Izuku could hear the thug and his attempt to attack him. Izuku grabbed the pen that was on the desk, and he rapidly turned around and countered the thug's enhanced fist with twice the force, which sent the thug through the wall and outside unconscious. Making the hostages feel somewhat safe, and with the thugs distracted, one of the employees of the bank would press the silent alarm, which alerted the authorities. As the first thug would say, "What in the big mistake, kid? Take this!" sending a massive beam of electricity straight for Izuku. As Izuku, countering it, sending it back with twice the force, as he would say, "Nah, you can keep it." The first thug, managing to avoid the reflected attack, would say, "Crap, boss, what do we do now? We came prepared for All Might, but this kid, what is he?" As the thug boss would be visibly intrigued, as he would say, "I don't know, but I'm guessing he can reflect the attacks. So in this case, even the number one hero will have trouble with the kid. In that case, let's test out the little thing." The thug boss would grab a little pill and swallow it, and immediately his muscles bulged, and the buff leader got buffer. The other hostages were scared for Izuku's safety, as the thug boss, putting on gauntlets, would say, "Kid, try not to die easily. I want to test out my new toys." As the first thug, pulling out a knife and enveloping it with electricity, would say, "Now kid, prepare yourself because you've got nowhere to run." Izuku, very sarcastically, would say, "Oh no, gauntlets and a knife, the two things I'm afraid of." As the first thug would be confused and would say, "Well, put the pen down and hands in the air." As Izuku would say, "Okay, sure." As the first thug would say, "Boss, is he for real?" As the thug boss, visibly frustrated, would say, "Just kill him already! Can't you see he's messing around with us?" As the first thug would say, "Oh, right." The thug went straight for Izuku, trying to slash him with his dagger, but Izuku has been dodging as if there were nothing. But before Izuku could comment, the boss blitzed Izuku, sending him through the wall. As the thug boss would say, "Huh, that was easy. He made me use that pill for nothing. And would walk to the bank employees, as he would say, "What are you looking at? Hurry up and fill those bags unless you want to be next." As the first thug would say, "Yeah, fill these up all the way to the top or else." As Izuku, coming out of the rubble, with his shirt torn, would say, "Yeah, no, not happening, I'm still here." As the first thug would be stuttering, "Well, what are you, kid? You should be dead by now." Izuku would say, "It'll take a lot more than that. I've been through worse. This doesn't even compare to my training." As Izuku having a chill up his spine, thinking about Gran Torino's training regimen. As the thug boss would be smirking, and would say, "It looks like you're tougher than you look. Let's see how tough you really are." The fight between Izuku and the thugs went on, and the thug with the dagger made a beam of electricity and sent it towards Izuku. Izuku immediately sent back with 3 times the amount. The thug was about to dodge again, but he found himself unable to move. He was floating in midair, distracted by the weightlessness. He was caught up with his own attack, which shocked him half to death, literally and metaphorically speaking. Before the boss could do or say anything, All Might rushes to the wall with his signature smile and phrase, after which took care of the remaining thug. As All Might would see Izuku, giving Izuku a pat on the back, and would say, "Well done, young Izuku. Thanks to you and your bravery, I was able to arrive in time, and I must say, thanks to Gran Torino's training, you managed to hold up." As Izuku would say, "Sorry, All Might, but now I'm really in a hurry. These damn thugs had to show up here in of all places, and thanks to them, I'm running a little bit late, and my uncle is going to scold me. Not to mention that tonight is also going to be a really busy night. So talk to you some other time." Izuku went and asked for the change he needed from the bank employee. After receiving the change, he rushed to work, complaining on the time he was late. Back at the bank, the girl that was in front of Izuku with her father noticed something flying off during the time Izuku was punched into a wall. The girl went to search for it, and when she found it, she noticed it was a pendant, and its chain broke off. As she checks it out, she finds a small message on the back of the pendant that read, "Izu, all the ups and downs in our life were written off and forgotten on the day you were born. Love, Mom and Dad." The girl reading the message thought that his parents were sweet to write this sort of message, but she realized that he left in a hurry. As the girl is freaking out, would say, "Oh no, now how am I supposed to be able to return it to this boy?" The girl's father comforted her, but All Might noticed. As All Might would say, "Hello, fellow citizens. I couldn't help but notice you being in a dilemma of sorts. How would I be able to help?" Meanwhile, Izuku arrived at the tavern, somewhat out of breath. Satoru stood in front of him like he was about to yell at him, but instead hugged him. As Satoru would say, "Izuku, I saw on the news. Is everything okay? I was worried sick." As Izuku's confused and would say, Yeah, everything's okay. I got the change you asked for." As Satoru, looking at his torn shirt, would say, "Don't tell me that you did something reckless, like you normally do." As Izuku would say, "Yeah, define reckless." Satoru saying, "I knew it. How many times do I have to tell you to look out for yourself, for a better outcome? But acting before thinking will only leave you with only regret. Regret on what would have you been if you took a moment to think. And another thing, even if we aren't related by blood, to me you're family. The same goes for my sister." As Izuku would say, while lowering his head, "I understand." Satoru would say, "Good. Now go ahead and change, and grab a bite to eat. I have a feeling that it's going to be a very busy night." Sometime afterwards, Izuku would be just sitting there next to Satoru. Satoru would say, "It has been 30 minutes now. Where are the customers?" Izuku would say, "Uncle, I don't think they won't come yet, considering that there was a villain attack 3 blocks down the road. I really wouldn't blame them. I'll be right back." As soon as Izuku finished his sentence, they heard the door open. As Satoru would say, "Welcome to the Shogun 8. How may I help you?" As the man would say, "Yes, I was wondering if Izu worked here." As Satoru would say, "Yeah, he does. Is it about school?" The man saying, "No, my daughter found a pendant that might belong to him, back at the bank." As Satoru would say, "I see. In that case, why don't you grab a seat, then give me a moment. I'll go and get him." As Satoru went to find Izuku, only to find him speaking with Katsuki in the kitchen. As Satoru would be saying, "Having fun back here, you two." Izuku and Katsuki looked back to see Satoru, towering over them. They gulped. As Satoru would say, "Calm down. There's someone here for you, Izuku. Apparently, someone was nice enough to bring you back your pendant." As Izuku is shocked and would say, "Wait, what? How? Impossible. I have it right." Checking his neck, pockets. Where? Crap. As Satoru would start chuckling. "In any case, kid, it's a father and a daughter. They were with you at the bank earlier. I know how you can be. Don't just take it. Wait for them to give it to you. And since they went out of their way, why not give them something to eat or something to drink, as a sign of appreciation. And who knows, you might get a chummy with the young lass, if you know what I mean." As Katsuki would say, "Don't get your hopes up, Chief. Or that he rejected every girl that he tried to ask him out. The latest victim was a girl in my school. Rumor says that she switched sides after being rejected. But who knows, really." Izuku would say, "It's not really my fault that I'm not interested in them. So, will you kind of get off my back?" Sheesh. Izuku made his way to the table, where the father and the daughter that Satoru mentioned. As the girl would say, "Hey, you must be Izu, right? Thanks for what you did at the bank. I saw you handle those slugs like a pro." As Izuku would say, "Nah, it was nothing. That was nothing compared to my training growing up." As he would start having shivers down his spine. "Yeah, training. Well, anyways, I think I've lost my pendant and my boss told me that you have it." As the girl would say, "Oh, yeah, here." Once Izuku received the pendant, his eyes sparkled like crazy. As Izuku would say, "Thank you, thank you, thank you. You don't know how much this means to me." As he takes a closer look, it looks like the chain is busted. No wonder I never noticed it fall off. Well, to repay you, why not order something to eat? It would be my treat. As the man would say, "Sorry, but we can accept. Besides, you did save our lives back there, so there's no need." As Izuku would say, "Sir, I insist. This pendant is very important to me. If I were to lose it, I wouldn't know what I would do. So please order anything you'd like." The father and the daughter introduced themselves as Mr. Raka and Ochako, as they had no choice but to accept Izuku's offer. Izuku started with bringing them some water and a menu. Izuku saying, "I'll be right back to take your orders." After Izuku left, Mr. Raka would say, "Well, he's an interesting fellow, isn't he?" As Ochako would say, "I must agree. He's quite nice, but I can't put my finger on it. It's like I've seen him somewhere before." Mr. Raka saying, "Sweetie, are you sure about it? If it was true, he too would have recollected seeing you somewhere. Or are you planning to use the 'have we met before' as an excuse to get to know him?" As Ochako, embarrassed, would say, "Dad, what are you implying here?" Mr. Raka saying, "I'm not implying anything. I'm simply curious, since back at the bank you were staring at him and you weren't thinking straight." Ochako's inner monologue, "Oh no, Dad noticed. If I don't do something, he'll tell Mom, and that would mean the end of me." As Ochako, very embarrassed, would say, "Dad, it's not true." "It is true. Today we have the 2-for-1 deal for sandwiches, and if you're not interested, we do have an option for 2 large pizzas for $14.99, Izuku would say. Ochako's inner monologue, "What the? How didn't I notice him? Did he hear what me and Dad were talking about? Does he think I'm weird?" "Okay, Ochako, act like nothing happened." Izuku saying, "And what about you, miss? Have you decided on your drink yet?" Ochako, trying to act normal, would say, "What?" As she would start clearing her voice. "I mean, what would you suggest?" Izuku saying, "I would say apple cider, since it does go well with the salad and the sashimi." Ochako would say, "Yeah, I'll get that." Izuku left and he took the menus. Ochako would say, "Dad, what was that about?" Mr. Raka would say, "What do you mean? You were lost in thought and I ordered." Ochako, with anime tears, would say, "But I wanted pizza." Mr. Raka would say, "Like I said earlier, you have your heads in the clouds, which means you have a crush on that boy." At the mention of the word crush, she immediately became red in the face, and she started to float. Izuku arrived to bring the drinks, and he was a bit worried. Izuku saying, "Sir, is she okay?" Mr. Akka would say, "Yeah, she's fine. This is what happens when she starts to get," as Ochako would say, visibly embarrassed. "Lightheaded. Yeah, lightheaded. No need to worry." Izuku looked confused at the duo. Then he did something unexpected. He grabbed Ochako's glass and sipped some water from the glass, which made Ochako's face go even redder. Izuku saying, "Sir, I don't think I should give your daughter apple cider." Mr. Akka would say, "What do you mean?" Izuku saying, "I don't know why, but it seems that she's a very light drinker. If water made her like this, I can only imagine the apple cider." Mr. Akka understood what he was saying, and he started to laugh, confusing Izuku. Ochako's inner monologue, "What the fuck, did this guy really think I got drunk with water? Then he took a sip from my glass, which means I indirect kiss?" But before Mr. Akka could clarify, Nedre hugged Izuku from behind. Then she started to rub her cheek against his, like a doting big sister. Or, in other people's perspective, a very loving lover. Nedre would say, "Izu, are you okay? I saw the news. Me and Mom were so worried, so I decided to come for myself." As Izuku would say, "Nedre, not now, I'm working." Ochako noticed the scene unfold. As Ochako's inner monologue, "What in the name of hell am I witnessing here? Is this his girlfriend? Oh no, her mother knows him. It must be that scenario of childhood friends becoming the love interest. But what about me? Hold on." As she snaps herself, "I have to get a grip on myself. I just met the guy. It couldn't be that I like him, but then again, I do kind of like him. He's attractive and all. No, I can't like him. We just met." As she would get frustrated. "Oh my gosh, how many times did I see a guy like? I lost count. Does that mean I do like him?" Before Ochako can realize how distracted she was, the only thing that snapped her back to reality was the sound of Izuku's voice, as Izuku would say, "Are you okay?" And to be continued. I hope you guys liked the video. I am still going to continue if, even with the abysmal reviews, because fuck all of y'all. No, I'm just joking. Fuck the haters. Because everyone thinks I'm just gonna do, fucking, just Izuku just wanking everyone. No, let's have fun, my guys. Let's have fun with the relationship shit, right? I'm not gonna get into specifics, okay? Don't fucking expect that from me, you ass. Okay, I'm sorry. But in this case, don't expect that shit from me. I'm not gonna fucking say, or, I may imply stuff, but I'm not gonna get into detail. It's so stupid. I can fucking draw that shit. And next post on my community tab, Nedre in a swimsuit. So watch that out, watch out for that, okay? So that's actually nothing for this What If series. Someone said I don't draw characters with enough sex appeal, so I just basically put my middle finger up his ass and told him I can fucking do it. So regardless, guys, hope you have a good night or good day. Peace.